I was anti-armory. I have not been anti-armory. I've been anti-bankrupt in this town. And I did not see a financial way we could do it. But you have pulled this off, and kudos to you and your staff, Chastity, you too.
Good
Okay?
job.
Very nice job.
All right, so, very nicely
What was the
done.
amount?
300-day contract. The contract is 300 days, and there is a 5% retainage
822.
on each payment.
I thought
It'd be
you said
complete
lower
in
than
300
that.
days,
300
Oh,
days.
okay, I was like, whoa. Okay.
2 months before the end, before September next year.
We're cutting it close.
That's why,
So like
They're
by
close.
the end of next June,
when do they look that they can start if this passes tonight?
I'm
Get it.
thinking,
what you say?
because now, after tonight, you'll do a notice of award, they'll go get their bonds, and they'll get back, we hope by Thanksgiving. I think I told Chris earlier this evening, by Thanksgiving that we would,
Did I read 300 days, or there's a penalty or something?
300
300
days,
days.
there's a liquidated
That's short
day.
of a year.
Hey,
Hard to
Get
prove,
this to them as soon as they can.
hard to prove, but we need to get going.
Can we call them in the morning if you get a affirmative vote?
We'll call 'em. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Call for the question.
Mr. Nash has moved and Mr. Gorman has second to award the armory bid renovation to Taswell Contracting for $3.822 million. I'll ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Ms. Nguyen.
Aye.
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 All right.
I wish I could vote,
Hooty hoo.
but I don't. It's 6-0, motion carries. Great job, staff. All right, and now I believe
Ugh.
you want to do some moaning and groaning about projects.
Mr. Gorman.
Why you gotta stop?
Mr. Gomez brought up the issue because we were slinging numbers around here one night and 3 million for this and 2 million for this and 1 million for that. And Mr. Gomez said, man, can you please codify exactly what it is and explain to us a little closer? And instead of giving us one project on a budget, compile and let's talk about it. Okay? So here you have it. There's a couple things that you may have questions on specific to water lines running to the town of Crew, if that happens. Because a good portion of these dollar figures are required if you run the water, if the town of Crew were to hook onto the town's water system, okay? And I'll explain that very quickly to you. If you go down this list, and you come to the item that says 14,199,962, that is the replacement of the raw water line and the pumps from the reservoir to the treatment plant, and that was built in 1942. Are we having immediate problems with it? We are not having blowouts, any of that kind of stuff. MacBug does believe if you hook Crew on, and they sell a lot more water than we do, that that pipe will be under stress and that we will probably be experiencing breaks. It's an old cast iron line, okay, built in 1942.
How big is that pipe?
I think it's 16, and I think the proposal to replace it, I think it was 20. I can double check. Well, in fact,
That number, the 14 million, is that a current number or is that,
this is current as of this week.
okay?
Chastity just got it
Because
all
you know it's
updated
gonna
and
continue to go up.
it could go up.
What was the increase from the last time we got?
I think it's $2 million more than when we originally, I think it was $12 million last time we talked about it.
You're talking $63 million to run water to Crew altogether?
Just what you're seeing here, not including the Crew components, was about $91 million. These projects, okay?
Remember, the water line cost from Blackstone to Crew, I would hope, and Jake knows more.
That's intended that the
That better
state
be-
would pay that,
Yeah, that better be, not be paid by the citizens of
but
Blackstone.
that's not in that 91 million. In addition, the improvements for the Blackstone water system to accommodate Crew / DOC, that's $26 million, which is the raw water line, that 14, plus the replacement of water lines at Pickett, specifically on 10th Street and Military Road, and replacing the water line on Dinwiddie Avenue. Okay? Not required if Crew does not hook onto your system.
But that's just specific to the Crew project. So
Specific to Crew.
is that built into the financing of that project?
It is, based on the quote that we gave them per 1,000 gallons, it is.
That's what I'm double checking, that the citizens of Blackstone aren't paying
As
this.
is the raw water line, based into that.
Gotcha.
Well, we paid the
That was the
upfront
64
cost.
cents that we quoted.
We paid the upfront cost, so how long did it take to get our money back?
Each month you're getting your payment
Right, but,
from Crew.
okay, so if we,
You'll be making a bond payment for 25 years, 30 years.
It'd be a bond payment for 25, 30 years, but we'd get a water line that we haven't replaced since 1942.
Right.
That's the benefit, that you would get
Split
some
with a huge
infrastructure
part
improvement.
paid for
But
by
aren't you,
somebody else.
also, aren't you gonna have to upgrade some of the pipes in town? So there's more benefit
Yes,
to,
that Dinwiddie Avenue would,
yeah, so,
I can't say those are bad, they're too small.
right,
We, or Philip, I don't know, I say we, Philip gave all these numbers to B&B or Mac, and he ran all of the calculations to a T on, okay, this is the stress where you're gonna put here, this is how much it's gonna cost over your 25-year bond payment, this is where you need to put the water rate for crew, and all of that was compiled so that all of that it would be, it'd be paid for, and it would be a pretty good deal for the citizens of Blackstone and the citizens of Crew.
My only question though is if we, and I appreciate that, if we end up paying 60, 70 million, how long, I know that's a 25-year bond, but how long is it gonna take us to get our money back? 25 years,
You're making a bond payment, you're not making a profit on it.
and I'm making a profit.
If you raise equivalent to what your bond payments on, until that bond's paid off, that money's not in your pocket. We can provide the water for an economic development customer without doing some of these things, many of these things. I do have a concern about the raw water line, that thing's old, those things are tough shape. But we haven't even gotten off the first page yet. Okay. If you continue, you've got that first page, go to the second page. And that's the replacement of the water system at Fort Pickett. What baffles me, and I'm gonna get on my bully pulpit for just a moment,
go ahead.
is that people at DEQ and the Virginia Resources Authority would even entertain with falsified rates provided by Prince Edward County, would even entertain lending Prince Edward County over $80 million, or up to $80 million, or 88, I think is what it is actually. When these kinds of needs are already in a system that serves war fighters and veterans. There's asbestos pipe in that system. Asbestos pipe, you're still shipping water and consuming water in an asbestos pipe built by the Army. And the state would even consider that unicorn at Sandy Creek Reservoir. It's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace.
Philip, I hate to interrupt you. Have we thought about, has Chairman O'Rourke thought about getting maybe our delegate and our senator here for that meeting on the 12th?
We're having a conference call with Lee Ware tomorrow
Okay,
at 3 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. And we've invited crew, town manager, mayor, and of course you, and then we'll begin with that, and whoever wants to attend, but we can't have a meeting, so. But crew, we did not specifically invite Burkeville. I think they made their bed with Prince
Yeah.
Edward and so.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
These needs,
I couldn't agree with you anymore. It's heinous.
What?
It's heinous, I agree with you.
it stinks, the whole thing
Yeah.
stinks. And the backdoor way that item was added to the budget is underhanded. It is gangster style. This is stuff you would expect to see in New Jersey or somewhere up north. What the staff for the state has done smacks of something that you would see at a, in a corrupt state, third world country or something like that. Disgraceful. I'm shocked that the state is even couching it. It's something in 30 years I've never seen before. And I've left a message with Governor Youngkin's staff, asking them to reconsider this, and of course, never got a return call, so.
Same.
That's pretty standard, I guess. I was told that's probably what would happen, so, no response. You've got $100 million in need, but yet the state's considering to dump $88 million in an absolutely unnecessary project that has absolutely no need. It has no customer, it has no reason, and it will bankrupt the town of Crew and cause taxpayers in Blackstone to pay more every year so they can fix that water system up there. It's a disgrace. This is something that a banana republic type of country would do, okay?
Agreed.
And Youngkin staff, so the record will reflect, still hasn't called back. Still hasn't returned a phone call, okay? So, there you are. You got a lot to do. It's codified now. And veterans and warfighters are drinking water out of a asbestos pipe so that Joe Hines and Timmons and Associates can line their pockets with an absolute boondoggle unnecessary project that Prince Edward County is promoting and the state is permitting to move forward. It's not necessary while war fighters are drinking water out of an asbestos pipe. And they know this and shouldn't do it. It's an embarrassment. And, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
It's a good thing we have a town manager that's also the acting county administrator right now.
Hallelujah.
I'd like to hold back. It really has been just amazing to watch. Everything you wouldn't think something that underhanded would happen has happened. Has happened. And,
Without anyone's knowledge in Nottaway County, really. I mean, just happened.
but the taxpayers here are gonna get built. And the state supporting one community to the detriment of another. Nottaway County Board of Supervisors, at their EDC meeting, you were there, voted not to participate in regional economic development initiatives promoted by the Commonwealth Regional Council because Timmons and Associates is tainting that. Okay? That's not regionalism when you bankrupt the town of Crewe. The town of Blackstone could have bankrupted them 5 years ago because we could have told the state, yes, we'll bypass Crewe. But because the town council then had an ethical base that Prince Edward County clearly lacks, or their administrator clearly lacks, they said they'd be happy to do it. We could have done it years ago and made a huge profit. Ethics count, and I'm proud of the town of Blackstone.
Maybe we should get Oliver Anthony to change his song to the Richmond north of Blackstone.
Richmond, west of Blackstone.
Northwest.
All right.
Guys, call me with questions. I know there's a lot to digest, but it's in the
Can we,
tens and
digest it and
Oh,
get back
absolutely.
and, is that agreeable? It's a
no
lot to
motion
digest.
required, but please look at it. Please ask questions.
I asked that our regular meeting, Philip provide an update with his, meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, with,
Pardon?
With your
tomorrow,
meeting tomorrow,
right.
just provide an update at our regular
Yeah,
council meeting.
absolutely. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, but see, then we gotta go up there next week before the council meeting too. Yeah, we gotta go there next week before the council meeting too, right? Right.
Right.
Board of
Yeah, I'm
Supervisors are gonna have
continue the
a
meeting.
roundtable workshop style
Oh, we'll
meeting.
talk about that. Yeah, all right. Anything else?
You would extend this meeting
I
to
am.
7 o'clock.
I am. So we had 3 items that we added, and we've taken care of one. Next, I'm gonna take up a downtown investment grant for the square. Do you wanna speak of that? Do you, Mrs. Green, do you wanna speak of that? I don't, I think he's able-minded.
As I understand, and I probably am not fully prepared to ask you guys to act on it tonight, but Field may be able to fill in the gaps, but there's a $75,000 grant that was awarded to Town of Blackstone or DBI or both in order to put a shelter over top of the stage at the town square. It's my understanding from Field that the match would be $37,500, so a third, 33% match, 66% grant. As far as timing and acceptance and all those kind of things, I don't know what the schedules are. Well, I'm going to ask you to come to the podium because I'm not prepared to recommend it because I haven't even read the document.
So he's given you the basics of the grant. Do you have any questions?
It's not just a cover, it's pretty good remodel of the square. The cover is a big part of it, cause it really makes it usable. We've gotten some complaints in the past about, summer sun was a little hot, in the middle of that when you're right at 12 noon. Kinda made it hard to use for some festivals or vendors. It was always planned to have a cover there. Back in the day when it was first put in, ran out of funding. I think it's a pretty good cause. 2/3 of that, paid for by grants. Good one.
We needed this to do the agreement,
Is
what
that
they asked
drawing-
for.
Money backing in order,
to do the agreement,
Is
correct.
the drawing in the paper gonna be the final product? Is that what we're talking about here?
That's just a recommendation.
Okay.
I mean,
'Cause
we
I-
applied for landscaping, the pavilion, a kiosk, and also electrical charging stations in the back, which are no cost.
I was surprised by some of the comments. I thought it was a beautiful drawing and good rendition, but there was some questions, a lot of people concerned about the amount of foliage, the trees and then the front gates being gone, so.
I don't think we ever voted on it, but I think it was a pretty general consensus consensus that
general.
while we wanted trees, we didn't want 6 trees. We
Yeah.
wanted 4 trees.
The grant
There's a pre-
provided for 4 trees.
The more open space for people to gather for.
There was and I was, and again, I've been sitting through a lot of presentations lately on Virginia Main Street, so you're gonna hear me say it a lot, and I apologize, but there was another point where you talked about shaded downtowns and non-shaded downtowns, and showed some graphs on traffic through there, and showed some graphs on what it actually does for your overall temperature, and it makes it more of an enjoyable space. And I've spent some time in some of the parks in Richmond that have trees versus the ones that don't, and it's massive difference. It's a little more maintenance and upkeep. Gotta rake the
No
leaves
flower
when they
beds,
fall.
please. No flower beds.
We'll get to
I'm
there when we
asking
get-
council to vote no against flower beds. Trees, yeah, we can make
Well,
them work, but
Unfortunately, I think this goes to design committee, and they decide ultimately, is that correct? What the design's gonna be?
Well, that, we would like their input, yeah, for them to decide.
I mean, it's gonna come back here for
Fine.
a final design.
I mean,
So,
like I said, I was just bringing out the comment. I think you saw them too. I was surprised by them. I thought it was a beautiful drawing, but I think some people said that there's some trees that were already there before that we didn't really maintenance well. And
No, it's never had
was it
trees.
like a Christmas tree.
There's
or
never
something?
been, it's a Christmas tree that's put in a container, so it's not in the ground, it's not planted.
I'd have to go back
So-
and look, but there was plenty of comments about it.
Yeah, there were some
There's
comments about trees, but if you maintain, there's plenty of downtowns across the state that have trees and are
Well, there's different
maintained.
types of trees. Some have an issue with roots running and busting concrete.
I
Right.
don't think they're
Some
a
don't,
request
you know,
to put a
it's-
big oak tree in
Tree
the
or
middle
something
of the
like
square.
that.
I mean, this is more of an ornamental type tree.
So-
Yeah, this is where an expert comes in and says, this is the type of tree you need to plant here. And
And the rendering was
I agree
from
that you should
the
concur
Virginia Main
with it.
Street
to get it
design,
going. Yeah.
consultant.
And the public will have a, comment period, discuss the design that is brought up.
I
or-
think that's DBI's grant, so that,
all right, so I think, Chairman Green is looking for, a motion to, approve the $37,500 match, and also you need a letter from the town, from the mayor, and
that effect.
endorsing the project and stating the council's willingness to match the grant, is that correct?
correct, and then we'll move forward with the agreement.
Philip, can you safely say we could use lodging tax for something like this?
using lodging tax for something else, I'm sure. I think what I need to do is look at scheduling, and if we need to set a little bit of money aside every 2 weeks or every month so that we can, $37,000 is crushing. But if I have some lead time, we can set aside $1,000 a week or $500.
I don't think they're
When-
asking
yeah,
for it
we're
right now, but
just asking for a commitment to allocate it when the time comes. It's not a, we're not asking for a check, or they're not asking for a check for $37,000 tomorrow. It's just
The only issue I
make a
have.
commitment that we'll work towards it and that we're gonna.
The only issue I have is, I'm fine with the grant. I think it's a great use for the space, put the coverage up there. I just think that this council, it's their property, and even though DBI, we've given the task of running it, renting it out, I think this council, before any improvements are done on its property, has a right to approve the design. They have the right to see that design before it's approved.
I think that a final design will probably come up here for approval, but I don't see a big, long comment period on it. I don't. We do a lot of projects where,
well, I
What's the
agree
time
that-
for-
I agree that it needs to come to council, number one, because we're the ones footing the $37,000. But I think it's gonna be a formality just to say.
Yeah,
we
But
sign off on
it gives the public an opportunity to say, hey, I like this.
What's
or
the
I don't.
time frame
Yeah.
for this?
I don't remember when the deadline is for the grant.
No, I'm asking you, once we approve this,
Then we'll start working on it right away.
okay. So it could be by spring, you have it out there? or-
Yes, sir.
A motion that we accept this grant and
Mr. Page has moved to,
set aside the funds
Say
aside
we
for the
go
match.
Up to 37,500.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to-
37,500.
no.
No, you have
it's
to do the 37.5,
37.5
that's,
is
Well,
it.
that's what I said, up to. I mean,
But that's
we're
But
not
you
going
ha-
more than 37.
okay, you don't have to go more, but you have to do the 37.5.
37,000.
That's like part of the, that's the match.
Yeah, but what if the project comes in where you don't do any trees? I would think the project reduces in scope, that it should be a less of a match.
Well, if we spend the 75 of the grant, then the town has to match. So I don't know how much, the pavilion could come in higher than what
Higher,
we,
yeah.
I
than
think
what
it's
we
a
put in
standard-
for,
I think it's a standard feeling or or effect that when you say that you'll do the 37.5 and you're basically saying you're gonna do a third of it, that's what it means. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind the language up to 35K,
37.5.
37.5.
Whatever you need, that's my motion, 37.5.
Is there a second? Then I'll rephrase this.
Second.
Give
Give it to Jake. He's-
Mr. Alman. Mr. Page has moved and Mr. Alman is second for the town to contribute up to $37,500, for this downtown grant in the square, and to authorize the mayor to sign a letter of commitment and support for this project.
It's not up to, it's actually 37.5, right?
But Mr. Nash wants the verbiage in there up to 30.
If the project was to come in less, then we don't have to accept the full grant. I'm assuming that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but more than
Typically, it's
likely
not gonna be
it's
less.
not gonna be less.
Will be Thursday.
We know that.
But I mean, the money is gonna, the point in debating that is what, I mean,
It's really no debate. I mean, it's still saying that you get 37,500, but I'm just saying, what if it comes in where we only need to give $36,000 or whatever it be? It's really no debate. I mean, I'll ask Chris to remove that if it's that big of a deal. I just thought it was a pretty benign
it's a solid
request.
37.5, as I understood, was our
Well, I
expected
mean,
at the
I
time.
already heard that the front wall could stay a fence instead.
Yeah.
In my opinion, well, that takes out a fairly large chunk of change.
That wasn't part of the grant to remove that.
Gotcha.
I don't know why that wasn't in the drawing that way.
I think you're fine, okay? It's up to, we'll pay whatever, up to 1/3 of the $37,500 is your obligation, is what this motion is,
As long as they get what they need.
okay? Any other discussion? I'll ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Ms. Nguyen.
And aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much.
you're
I
welcome.
think it's gonna be a great project for downtown.
This is the one that,
Thank you for making it happen.
Yeah,
this is the, structure that you found where the timber, the people do timber. And I have a friend that the company did a pavilion for him, and it's just unbelievable.
Did that fit in Powhatan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's amazing. It's,
Justin wrote the grant, so
I think he'd asked me who they were. And we
Yes.
I mean, I've never seen a pole.
We had talked about doing this prior when we were talking about the possible lease agreement.
There was a significant
square.
amount of USDA money for a farmer's market out there one time. But Clarence Simpson, rest his soul, had already started the farmer's market out there on Church Street, and I don't think that, we or he or USDA wanted to competing with the farmer.
I understand.
But I've never seen a sexy pole shed before.
They're cool.
I mean, it's just amazing. You walk up on, you can see the craftsmanship, and it would do really well in the downtown. So, thank you, council. I think it's a wise decision. I had spoke to y'all. The next topic is an ice cream social with business owners. I had spoken with the council a couple of times about having a forum where we can invite the business owners in the town to come and have a social with me or as many members wanted to, because I feel like we have so many members in town, owners in town that don't have a vote. They live out of town. I have several friends that own a business in town and they live out of town. And it's come to the point I'm ready for it to happen. I spoke to Mr. Miller and he suggested coordinating it with one of the cookouts. It really wasn't what I wanted to do. Emma has gone forward to the point I want your approval. She secured the inn at Blackstone. She's secured, invitations, the beverages, non-alcoholic, Mr. Nash, ice cream, the whole 9 yards, and it's a cost of about $600. And my question is, does the council see my vision and the need? And if you do, are we willing to pay the $600 to put it together?
I think $600 is a pretty cheap fee to pay for some business owners that have been taxed without any representation for a very long time.
I think
that's very appropriate.
I think that's well within under the threshold for the town manager to even decide.
Well-
You know,
Yes and no, because, Billy taught me that the council speaks to their emotions, and I'd always rather, I would always rather, we make decisions together, and, so that's why I'm asking you. It's on November the 8th from 7 to 9 at the inn. Invitations will go out after I get y'all's approval. Y'all have any questions? What's your pleasure, Mr. Alman?
I'd like to move, and my only question is, are we gonna schedule a meeting for that?
I'll
meeting?
continue the October meeting to that time.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Mm-hmm.
What time is it on November 8th?
Seven to 9.
7 to 9.
Be there instead of.
That way, in case more than two of us are there.
Yeah, and I welcome all y'all. I mean, it's not just me, it's just the title, come have, I don't know what the title is, it's pretty catchy. But honestly, it's for y'all. And what I envision is a social hour where you can mingle with the business owners, and then maybe we could do some question and answers. And Philip, I'd love for you to be there, please, sir. Pretty please. You're not too busy?
When is this?
November
November 8th.
8th. November 8th, 7 to 9, okay? So I'll ask for Mr. Alman has moved, is there a second?
Second.
And that sounds like Mr. Page to me. So Mr. Alman has moved, Mr. Page is second, and, to have this social on the 8th from 7 to 9 at the inn for a cost of approximately $600.
Are all business owners,
All
been invited?
business owners, not just to the district. Building owners and building owners in the entire corporate limits. I know we've got a downtown Blackstone, but we do have a lot of very good, businesses on the four corners of it, so I wanna get all these people involved. $600, I ask for a voice vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. I look forward to that evening.
Nottaway County had a business appreciation barbecue several years ago, and unfortunately, they got bids and used a out-of-county catering service. Can we make sure all the services for
Yes.
business appreciation are from?
Everything is in downtown merchants are gonna provide it, okay? All right, you have anything else, Mr. Van Orvik?
I have, documentation, I think you've got on here a closed session to discuss your town manager.
We do,
If you wanna go into closed session, we can.
it's your pleasure, what do you wanna do?
I'm just gonna hand it out to you. Last time we met, you guys asked me to provide you with a contract. And I'm doing so. If you'd like to go over it, I don't mind doing it publicly, I'm happy to do so. I don't think there's much to it from what we discussed previously. But I would like a motion.
I'll take care of that.
Tonight to modify and look at this. I think I may have handed somebody the one that Chessie signed.
Love it, Philip, but I gotta read this for you. Or vote on it.
You know, if I hear one member that wants to study it before we talk about it, can we put this on the agenda for the, what is it, Mr. Miller, what day is it? What, 18th?
Next council meeting.
Okay, is that
Is that
fine?
quick enough for you?
Oh, I'm not in a hurry. Okay.
Okay, what I would like,
The contract is.
90 days is, November 21st, right?
Third Monday.
90 days is November 21st, right?
If you choose not to sign a contract, that is fine too. I'm not requesting a contract,
but what I would like,
not a requirement of mine.
what I would like is for a member of council to make a motion to raise Philip's salary to $158,000 retroactive to September 19th.
So moved.
Mr. Miller
Second.
moves, is there a second? I believe that's Ms. Nguyen. Is there any discussion? I ask for a roll call vote, starting with Ms. Nguyen.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. So that's dispatched, and then we'll let us, take care of this. And, we'll see if it suits, we'll have this meeting, okay? Council, do y'all have any other items to come before us?
Yeah, man. I think everybody, we got all these dates here. Could you go over these dates again for
How about
us?
I email you?
Email all of us.
Well, let me ask you
'cause
this, yeah, of course, let me ask you this. How about I email y'all with a synopsis of our conversation with our delegate tomorrow? Give you a brief statement on what I saw occurred, and I'll have Chastity or somebody help me with the dates.
Okay, the dates of every meeting, cause there's a lot of meetings.
Okay, so 10 meeting, that's been
I do.
for a while. The water line?
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
I ain't checking.
If there's no objection from council.
For what, I'm sorry?
So it can only be two,
Two, so long as it's just.
and Jake would like to go.
It's been the
You
project
been
I've
going,
working on.
right?
I'd like to
You
continue.
been
I'm
going,
sorry,
right?
I can't hear.
Hold on. Hold on. Yes, ma'am? Okay, well, let me get this straight. So, we're having this meeting tomorrow with Delegate Ware, and it, on the water issue, right?
Specific to water.
Okay, and Mr. Allman has been attending these meetings for how long now? 2 years?
Yeah. I was appointed to attend as chairman of Fire and Water.
Well, I feel like we ought to have a representative and he would be the one to do it. Is there any objection from council?
Do it.
All right. Would you make a motion to, allow the two of us to represent the town?
You don't need a
All right.
motion.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All
I
right.
do have a
Do it,
question.
Jake, do
I
it.
have a question though.
Right.
Next week, you said there's a busy calendar. There's a governor's retreat. There's also the tobacco commission, thing. If we have so many of us, that could be considered a meeting. So, I don't, are people going to the tobacco,
Well, I've been asked to
Reception.
speak
That's
at
a
both.
reception, right?
I've
It's
been-
not a meeting, that's a
I've been-
reception.
I'll
we
be
all
at the-
go and we discuss town business? It could be a
We're not
meeting.
be discussing
Well-
town business, are we?
So I'm just wondering if we should,
You cannot congregate in any kind of function, talk about town business.
Right.
But
you can't attend, right? Yeah.
I have no problem with it. I mean, I think you know a whole lot more about FOIA than I do.
I mean, we gonna
But,
get to a
um,
point where you walk in a restaurant, if two of y'all sitting there, we'll
Right,
call
you
a
gotta
meeting.
get out and walk out and leave. That's just,
Yeah,
that's,
not
if
me.
I'm
No,
sitting
I'm
there,
not
got
gonna
a
do
full
that.
plate of food, I ain't leaving
I'm
my
not
money
gonna
on
do
table.
It's a widely attended meeting. I think we're allowed to attend. I think we're fine.
Or as long as a notice is sent, I mean, something, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. I just wanted to remind us that could be a possibility.
Drinking a beer, and y'all walk in.
all right. Any other
Y'all
business? Any other business come before the council? I'm gonna continue this meeting, until October the 12th at 7 PM at the Nottaway County General District Courthouse to meet with the three towns and the Board of Supervisors.
And there's enough people who are supposed to go.